Χαίρετε. Καλημέρα σε όλους. Good morning to everybody. Χαίρετε is an ancient Greek word meaning be joyous, always. First of all, dear Rector of the Technical University of Crete, Professor Zervakis, and members of the Technical University of Crete academic community. Dear partners in the European University on Responsible Consumption and Production Alliance. Dear invited speakers and exhibitors, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the TUC EURECA-PRO team, we welcome you all to the InnoForum 2023, Unlocking the Potential of Failure in Innovation, and InnoExpo events organized as part of the Innovation Academy program of EURECA-PRO. The InnoForum 2023 focuses on the inherent part of life and best way of all of us to learn, failure. Failure in innovation is of great value. The event aims to focus on the thematic area of innovation and entrepreneurship to highlight how mistakes in innovation can ultimately lead to business success, as well as to exchange ideas and experiences between established as well as novice, aspiring, innovative entrepreneurs from EURECA-PRO partners and the local community. Before we proceed, please note that InnoForum 2023 is a hybrid event and is streamed live via Zoom for registered attendees, as well as via the EURECA-PRO Facebook page for the general public, whereas InnoExpo is an on-site event later on in the afternoon. Photographs and videotaping will occur during both events for EURECA-PRO and TUC dissemination and publicity purposes. At this point, we would like to invite Professor Michalis Zervakis, Rector of the Technical University of Crete, to open the event. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear organizers, respected guests and dear colleagues from the Alliance of EURECA-PRO, on behalf of the Technical University of Crete, I would like to welcome you all on this very interesting event. And we could ask ourselves, what about failure? Is it something that we need to talk about? And the answer, I think, from all perspectives is yes. We are living in a fast-changing world, especially in the responsible consumption and production areas, where we try different approaches, we try different hypotheses, and all of us working in research, we know that trying a hypothesis, there is also the danger of failure. And this is something which is of great worth, because we isolate and we isolate different cases that we search for. So essentially also in innovation and entrepreneurship, failure is something that is of great value, because we learn from our mistakes in order to proceed in the right way in a vast world of changing companies and changing needs for the society and the business. So InnoDays 2023 has a thematic network, a thematic area, which is of great importance to entrepreneurship. And I think TUC, as responsible for innovation and entrepreneurship in the EURECA-PRO Alliance, has an excellent idea and position on bringing this thematic network, this thematic area, and discussing the different approaches and the different issues associated with not only success, but also with failure. And I wish great success to today's event, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Zervakis. Now we would like to welcome Professor Moser, Coordinator of EURECA-PRO and Rector-elect of Mount Universitat Leoben, to address the audience.
Hello, good morning, Dear participants in the innovation event in Kenya, dear colleagues from EURECA-PRO universities, I'm happy and honored that I have the opportunity to give a few words of greetings to today's event. I'm very sorry that I cannot participate directly in the event in Kenya, not just because of the lousy weather here in Austria, too much rain, but I really regret not being able to be in Kenya because of the importance of this event. First of all, thank you very much, dear colleagues from Technical University of Crete, to take the workload of organizing in the frame of the Innovation Academy of EURECA-PRO the Innovation and Entrepreneurship program over a whole month with different events from May to June of this year. We all know we have a lot of things to do on a regular basis, and that such an event, and especially its organizing and putting together the program, is a lot of additional work. So I really appreciate that you're doing this. These activities that are on the agenda today aim to foster entrepreneurial activities within the EURECA-PRO community. And it should bring, as written on the homepage, the research and innovation sector one step closer to industry, society, communities, and especially also at large to our students. Of course, in addition, a special thanks goes to those participating either online or directly in Kenya and willing to share their experience with both teaching, listening, brainstorming, discussing on an issue that is so urgently needed for the long-term transition of our society into a more sustainable future. Innovative solutions developed by innovative thinking people is what we need. What is then innovation? Which are the characteristics? Which are the characteristics of innovative people? Thinking out of the box, developing ideas beyond current limits, developing new approaches, and in many situations, trial and error. This is what is discussed today. And it's not a surprise that when walking new roads, failure is normal part of the approach, even that we in Europe tend too much to totally avoid a risk of failure. I found on the homepage of today's event the following important question: are failures unavoidable? Can failure help to succeed? Well, my answer to this question is clearly yes. And in this context, I would like to look back to former Greek philosophers Plato and Aristoteles. And when we look to their philosophies, we see the following strategies. At least this is what we learn about Greek philosophers here in Austria. Maybe next time we discuss in Kenya if that's true or not. Plato is said to have developed his ideas always to the ultimate boundary before talking about it, always being behind the ideal solution or concept. And Aristoteles is said to have preferred the trial and error approach. Try it and see what comes out of it, and build on experience, step-by-step innovative solutions. With my background as an engineer, and based on my experience for many decades in research and development, I'm more on the Aristoteles side. Try it, give it a chance, even with the risk of failure. Maybe from things that do not work, we can learn more than from something that works. But it needs two things for this approach. First, the curiosity to find out why things did not work. And second, that the society accepts failure and should not blame people for their failure. We have, I think, still too much the culture of failing means becoming a loser. I think failure is part of the road to success. If you fall down, stand up and keep walking, knowing that falling down hurts. But we have to make sure that it doesn't hurt too much. And this is at the end is what today's seminar is about. learning from failures, explaining why failure happened and what comes as a continuation. This is also why innovation and why this approach has to maybe have an even more important place in our future EURECA-PRO activities, developing and continue to develop innovation concepts and teach and educate, especially our students, to walk this way, even as I said, sometimes it hurts. So I wish you today an inspiring meeting and interesting insights to failures. Take this opportunity, which is not offered so frequently. Last but not least, those that are directly in Kenya enjoy the nice environment of Technical University of Crete in Kenya and the certainly great hospitality of the colleagues there, and maybe find also during a coffee break to discuss Plato versus Aristoteles. Enjoy the event. I'm longing to be with you. Regards from Austria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Moser. We hope to see you soon in Chania.
Okay, certainly in September.
Wonderful. We're looking forward to that. Now, Professor Michalis Lagoudakis, member of our TUC EURECA-PRO team, is invited to the podium to address the audience.
Thank you, Eleni. A great welcome to all of you. It's nice to see some of you here, not many of you, but it's probably the early morning start that didn't let people be here in the amphitheater. But as time progresses, I'm quite sure that more people will show up, both here and also on the teleconference. Anyway, on behalf of the local EURECA-PRO chapter here at the Technical University of Crete, I would like to welcome all of you to this event. I have to say that many people have worked toward this day. Lots of emails were exchanged, posting messages, social media, websites. We tried to advertise the event to bring people together because we have a really great group of speakers today, and we're looking forward to hear to what they have to say and learn from their experiences. Because I think Professor Peter Moser explained it really well, that failure is part of the story, part of the game, and it's better to hear about this experience and learn from this so that we can exploit this experience for success. Nothing more on my side. I hope we have a great workshop today and a nice exhibition in the evening right here. Just some technicalities for those here in the room. In case you need anything, please let us know. Especially our guest speakers, if you need access to the internet, we have credentials for you, just let us know. And at some point there will be, I guess, some coffee break back here at the foyer, and the bathrooms are also back here to the right and to the right, just in case you need to locate them. Okay, let's wish great success to this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lagoudakis. Well, let's move on to our first event. How did it all start? Trivial everyday life problem sparks an innovative idea. You try it out and it really works for your friends as well. Then the world is the limit. That's how you embark on your own journey in innovation. From early on in the sale, you encounter rough seas and face wreckages until you finally reach steady ground in the entrepreneurial world. Is there a more efficient way to sail? Are failures unavoidable, as Professor Moser cited? Can failures help you succeed? These and more questions will be addressed and personal experiences shared by our invited speakers who have themselves turned failure to a successful journey in innovation. The hybrid InnoForum event features two speaker panels. Professor Panagiotis Partsinevelos of the School of Mineral Resources Engineering of the Technical University of Crete will have as its main theme from the light bulb to specs creation, what to keep and what to let go. The second panel later on in the afternoon, early afternoon, moderated by Professor Evangelos Grigoroudis of the School of Production and Management Engineering of the Technical University of Crete, will have as its main theme materializing and testing an idea, a practical roadmap. Finally, we invite you to the related exhibition Expo 2023, which will close the day as the hands-on platform where innovative entrepreneurs will have the opportunity to exhibit and discuss their innovative ideas, approaches, and applications. Without further ado, we invite Professor Partsinevelos and our esteemed speakers of the first panel to join us on the podium. Thank you very much.
Morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being with us. Thanks to the organizers, Eleni, for this great event. With no further ado, we're going to start our first panel from the light bulb to specs creation, what to keep and what to let go. So I would like to call Mr. Ernesto Castanon. He's a TEDx León organizer from the Universidad de León in Spain, and he will talk to us about the flavor of failure. So thank you very much. You're free to go to the podium. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Good morning. First, sorry for my Mexican English accent. We said in Mexico, Tex-Mex accent. Okay. I love a lot of things, but I love two things very, very much: ice cream and pictures. So, but today I'm going to talk about those. But this picture, I'm going to take what happened before this picture and after this picture. So flavors, we always have the option to choose between flavors. So flavors are options. Sometimes we are able to choose between one flavor or another. And sometimes we just have one flavor, but we are able to say yes or not. So for me, the first time I have to choose an important flavor was the flavor of university. So what flavor I choose in university? I choose food engineering in the university. Then after, when I was finishing, I have to choose another flavor, that my thesis flavor. So like I have an entrepreneur spirit, so I choose this thesis flavor.
mathematical simulation of the physicochemical process of the hydration of garlic and onion. It's a marketing title, right? So with that title, I came up to the real world. So I was going to start choosing flavors on the real life. But then this guy, okay, not this guy, but a guy who looks like him and almost with that mobile, called me and said, are you the one who did the mathematical simulation of the physicochemical process of the hydration of onion and garlic? And I said, yes. Why? You know, I'm gonna build the hydration plant in Mexico, and I knew about you, and I would like to be in our team. So was a good option to start choosing flavor. So you know what flavor I choose? This one. I say, no way. To work for you in your dehydration plant, I prefer putting my own smaller, no 9 million euros plant, but a smaller and ugly plant. So I bought this dehydration. So what, you know what happened? That I'm sure that you know why, because a guy coming out from university without any experience, with any knowledge about dealing with the farmers, about buying fresh products, or that the hydration products is for exportation to the US. So that's why the picture. So I realized that I need more practical knowledge. So in that time, we didn't have Google. So I went for University of Texas to take the address from a lot of universities in the United States about food science and agricultural department. So I wrote more like 100 letters asking for a short course in food science or agricultural science. So 1 month later, I got an answer from Penn State University saying that they have an ice cream short course. And I said, why not? So I went there. And when I get there, I realized that in Penn State University, they had the best ice cream short course for the food industry in the United States. All the people, important people from Nestle, Unilever, Häagen-Dazs, Ben & Jerry's, McDonald's were there in that course. And also I was there on the back. So flying after 15 days, of course, flying back to Mexico, we didn't have tablets or iPads in that time. So I did my business plan in the napkin in the flight. So I get in Mexico and I bought a milk can like this one, almost a cooking pot, and a small ice cream freezer, and a small truck to start doing ice cream in on those containers, 10 liters containers, because my target was the restaurant supermarket who has this type of freezer. So I just gave them the 10-liter ice cream and they put it there, I sell. So my market was in Torreon, was one of the biggest cities, one of the 10 biggest, with more than 1 million people. So I was selling ice cream to those restaurants. This is Torreon, closer to the north than to Mexico City. So the sales start getting a little bit better. So I said, okay, I will need to go to the next step to get into the supermarket jungle with ice cream. So I went with this. Soriana is the biggest supermarket chain in Mexico. I think now they have more like 700 stores. But in my region, they have 13 stores, big supermarket store. So I did the negotiation with them. So I start selling ice cream to them. So I need to create a brand. So I create TUC, premium ice cream. That was my brand. So I need to put ice cream in that brand. So that was the picture of my factory there. Some pictures, new truck. So in that jungle of ice cream, you have to go against these guys. Who are they? Nestlé and Unilever, the #1 and #2 biggest food company in the world, and #2 and #1 biggest ice cream company in the world. So in the supermarket, I was there, me, Das, against them. And after 5 years, I was selling in my region, in the supermarket, the 60% of the ice cream was my brand. And the other was the other, Unilever and Nestlé. So this was a huge phenomenon that everybody, even was a regional sales, everybody in Mexico were talking about Das. What is Das? What is they are doing? So my name sound Das, and my name sounds in the ice cream business in Mexico. So what I did, I start selling ice cream until I sold everything. They bought my brand. Just the paper. They didn't want any machinery because it was very ugly for them. So they just bought the paper, the brand. This is the pictures I want to show you. I sold my factory June 8th. The picture June 7 was like that. Why? Because for a small company selling more than 95% to just one client, you're dead. Sooner or later, you're gonna die. So I was dying. But what happened? Next day, I sold the brand. So, I am the champion. So what is the difference between these two pictures? Just because the ice cream was the same, Ernesto was the same, the marketing campaign was the same, the quality of the ice cream was the same. Just one day or another. So that's keep in mind that one. So now the picture of my ice cream, my ex ice cream was, this is in Mexico, this is the Christmas advertising, Dia de Muertos in Mexico, and the Independence Day, Viva Mexico. In all the magazines, they were showing my brand against other companies. I took that last year in Mexico because I like to go to the supermarket to take the pictures to a little and smile also a little. So now what? I need to choose another flavors. In the contract said that I was not going to be able to get into the frozen dessert production. So I said, okay, I will go with milk, yogurt, and cheese. But with the little problem that also in my region, there is the biggest dairy industry in Mexico, Lala. It's one of the biggest, the 5 biggest in the America. They sell more than 5,000 millions of euros every year. You know, there is where it's all it's in Torreon, where they have the main production, the headquarters. There is the map. So I create Castagne, a brand to go with them, with cheese, milk, and yogurt. This is in that time, my team crew, small trucks. So the first year, the business was doing well every day. So at the end of the first year, a guy came with me to say, you want this money? And I need to choose. What do you think I choose? I said, no. Because I thought, if the first year you bring that money, come next year, but go for more money. So I say, keep calm and say no. But 9 months later, because these guys, okay, not these guys, but the New Zealand, and I am not gonna get into that, but in New Zealand was a big crisis with the milk powder price. So it's a very a global crisis in the dairy production. So all the dairy production, cheese makers, pasteurization process had that phase. We were very worried about that. And a guy, very important guy in Torreon, gave me a call, was one of the main partners of the other company I told you, Lala, said that he want to have a meeting with me and invite me a coffee. And I say, why? Just to, to finish me. So I say, okay, I went with him and we have started talking like for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, he told me, you know, I want to know you because I wanted to know who was the stupid guy who get into this business. And I said, yeah, thank you. I said, you know, but you like me and I'm gonna give you one advice. If you have the money to be in the business for 3 more years, putting money means losing money, you are gonna be okay. You're gonna be rich. But if you don't, run. So I choose run. So I close Castañe. This is the picture. So I was young on the time, so I need to keep choosing. So I choose Spain. We and my family moved to Spain, and now I am professor at University of León in a master, is a European Master in Business Studies. I teach innovation. It's a master in 4 countries, University of Mont Blanc, University Kassel in Germany, and University in Trento, Italy. So I am tasting this flavor now. It's very good. But what I'm doing now is I am a videographer now. I love the taste of this thing, but not this taste. I have an extra topping flavor right now. So finish. What is the difference between these pictures? Flavor, extra topping flavor, or a crush flavor? For me, the difference is the date of the photo. So keep tasting life, keep enjoying, keep choosing good flavors, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernesto, for this wonderful presentation. I wish you had gotten us some ice cream from back home. So I would like to call the second panelist, Dr. Konstantinos Vasakis. So he's co-founder of a non-profit organization, Disrupt, and he will talk about failing forward. Actually, I would like to add at this point that we'll have the time for questions to the next panel after the coffee break, so you can actually ask our speakers of whatever you want. So thank you.
Good morning, Kalimera. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's great to be here. Okay. It's great for me to be here. Actually, it's great to be in an event discussing about failure. It's not a usual event actually, and what we are trying to do as also as an organization is to bring in the discussion what's failure and what is the purpose of failure in entrepreneurship and innovation. So today I will discuss about failing forward and bring to you that failure is global, and the only thing that changes is the perspective around it. So what is the culture in each city, region, or country around failure, and how we can deal with it, how we can be resilient with this. First of all, it's good to clarify that failure is lack of success, of course, but at the same time, it's the omission of expected or required action, something we didn't do. It's really important to have this in mind and asking ourselves, have we ever failed in our lives at least once? Can you raise your hand if you have at least one time fail your time? Okay, that's good. And the online, please. So I think that it's hard to say that someone hasn't failed in his life or her life, at least for a small project or in a grade in an exams. So always we have a plan, we have some goal set, and we're trying to finalize, to go there. And we feel that it's like a straight line that we go across in order to finish. But in the reality, this road, it's like a road full of unexpected challenges and things that we have to overcome in order to go to the goal, to go to the aim. I feel that you can recognize these people here. All of them are very, very famous, successful, and with a lot of money. What they have in common, like you, is that they have failed. They have failed many times in their lives, not just when they are successful, but during their journey to go to success, they have faced a lot of times the feeling of failure, the feeling of turning down some of their ideas, the failure of closing their businesses, or the failure of being rejected for for a job or for a new project. What I'm trying to do now is to show that success is not final and failure is not fatal. It's an ongoing journey that we have to follow in order to go to success. And here we have some case studies coming from huge companies that some of them they didn't achieve to deal with failure and go to close, like Kodak, for example. When digital photography came out, he didn't follow this trend. Even it has the technology to do that. She chose not to go for digital photography, for photo cameras, and the result of this was to go for closure. And another case that came to this end is BlackBerry. It was one of the largest smartphones companies in the world, with more than 20% of the market share globally, and he achieved not to follow and taking wrong decisions in order to follow the trend of the market in the smartphones. So these are two cases, and many others that came to close, and there are a lot of sites that you can visit to learn what's going on, what went wrong actually, and learn from their failure. And many times it's good to know what you can what you cannot you will not have to follow as a wrong step for your case or your business. Of course, these are two cases that showing that bad decisions or not overcome failure can lead you to close. But there are many cases that deal with failure and be very resilient with that and achieve to have a great success, like Google. Google use failure as a stepping stone to innovation. Actually, he has created also a website where he has all the projects that has killed as a company in order to be there and to remind them that it's okay to fail. The way to move on is to fail. The move to go to innovation is to bring new ideas, to think out of the box, to bring something and test what will work or not. So here we can see some of the most popular projects that that Google closed with billions of dollars missed for these projects. And of course, other companies achieve to pivot when they face failure. They find a way in order to change their road and go from the failure to success, like Netflix. Netflix was one of the companies that when DVD clubs came to the end, changed its business model and choose to go for a streaming service. And this is why Netflix is now alive and he's moved to new innovations. And all the time it's pivoting. It's always on the news. What new bring to the to this market that it is. So all these things, all these lessons coming from abroad and globally show us that, of course, in entrepreneurship and innovation, we have to take risks. We have to take risks in order to find something new that will provide us a competitive advantage to the market, or provide us the way to move forward and to bring new customers to our business. What is important to keep from there for these cases and many others that we can analyze from the history is that we have to foster a learning mindset, a mindset that look for growth, look for new ideas, will think how they can change the way of thinking inside the company and how they can bring new products or new services for the customers, how we can fulfill their needs, how we can make them feel very happy and will be there for us, whatever will happen. So it's how we can transform our failures into new opportunities for growth and success. And of course, all this show us that failure is a fuel for creativity. When we face any challenge, any failure, we have to find ways in order to deal with it. So we have to explore new ways of action, new approaches, and of course, these new solutions will provide will need from us to think out of the box. So it's really important for companies and for people being in a company to embrace experimentation, to embrace iterations all the time. And this is something that it's really important for even for small companies, especially for small companies, because will bring new ideas and new innovative products to the market that can grow very quick, instead of big companies that they have a lot of things to do in order to follow. That's why a lot of new companies like startups gain to have a great competitive advantage against big companies and against rivals. So this is why we have to encourage bold ideas and at the same time thinking how we can fail and going forward. And of course, this journey is not, I can say that it's limitless. So what we have to keep in mind is that success and failures at the same time are not the end points, are not the start or the end. They are there, and it's something that we have to keep in mind. And of course, the fear of failure can be a very bad determinant in order to grow or go forward. It's important to keep in mind and have in our minds that failure is a stepping stone in order to move to success. It's I can say the only steps that we can follow for that, and not another step that we can use for exploring ideas. And of course, we can take some risks. It's good to be calculated or data driven in order to achieve to reduce the risk of failure. And of course, this will unlock our potential to innovate and to grow. So the key for unlocking our potential is to work hard. It's to work in a continuous way. And of course, this will bring what any of us can want to achieve. And it's really important to refuse what failure can bring as feelings and as results. So thank you very much. And I will be here for any questions.
And as I call Dr. Lionel Bertrand from NRX presidency from the University of Lorraine in France to talk about his company, NRX, how innovative methodology for underground exploration comes from the concept to the market. In between, I would like to say that Dr. Konstantinos Varsakis actually hosts and organizes through BizRapt an event monthly or bi-monthly that actually talks about failure 100%. Exactly. Yeah, sure. Okay, Dr. Bertrand, stage. Thank our IT support as the former rector of the Technical University of Crete, Professor Lagoudakis.
So good morning, everybody. So I'm Lionel Bertrand, CEO and founder of NRX, which is a company of services about resource exploration in the underground. I created after my research in the University of Lorraine with a laboratory, which is a georesource. And I will talk about my experience since the creation of the company and the research we had in the university, and how we failed to make business in the first 2 years because there was an industrial failure, and how we had to react to develop a new business model and to develop the company. So just to introduce the subject, I have done my PhD thesis about the deep geothermal energy, which aim to look about to use the Earth's heating to produce electricity and heat. And you can make that in two different contexts. First, near volcanoes, when the Earth is very hot around, and also in some deep places in the Earth, where you have to Earth. So the principle is that you have to find natural deep and hot fluid flows to pump it in with the first well, to use it in the surface to make electricity and to inject it in the subsurface to make no pressure change in depth. So this technology has been begin in the 1980s with a big scientific program in France, which made the first demo site for this technology in the world. And in the beginning of the 2010s years, the French government and several industries, we want to develop the renewable energies, starts to take permits to explore the resource. There was namely two industrial leaders, and I made my PhD for one of them to develop the methodology to find the hot fluid flow in depth. So basically, the exploration of hot fluid flows in depth is not really different from the classic oil and gas project. The thing is that you want to find geological objects in which you can find the resource. In this case, it is found natural hot waters that are at least at 150 degrees. It implies to know how it goes from the surface to the depth and how it is heated. For that, you have two different tools. First of all, you make different geophysical analysis from the surface to look how the geology is on the subsurface and to look where you can have the resource. And after you make exploration drilling on the different places you think there will be the resource, and until you find them. But there are two main differences between the classic exploration project and the geothermal resource. First of all, you are limited on the surface area because oil and gas you can search everywhere. But for the electricity and the heating energy, you have to be near the cities and big industries. And this limits drastically the exploration design. Secondly, there are new geological objects which we don't have very much knowledge at this time and not enough data. And the classic geophysical tools are not really efficient to locate the different places where you can find the hot fluids. And finally, because the price of petroleum and gas is much lower than the heat and the energy, you can make only limited investment to explore. And so in many cases, there are no exploration well. During the exploration program, go to 100% chance to find the fluids. Whereas in the oil and gas, it is more classically 3 wells productive wells for 10 that are actually drilled. So what we developed in the Lorraine University was a methodology which uses what we call the uses of outcrop analogs. Basically, it is to look about the area where the geological object you want to characterize are on the surface. So you can take rock samples, you can make some geophysical acquisition where you have the rock on the surface, and to better use them and calibrate them where they are in the depths. And so we developed this methodology during something like 5 years of research. We made a combination of different disciplines and tools with geological and geophysical innovations. And we also developed some technical innovations in terms of outcrop characterization on the use of drones to make precise geophysical acquisition, and also a workflow of laboratory measurements to take all properties you need to make the geological models and found the hot fluid flow. So with this methodology, we began to communicate about that. We begin to publish and to talk with the different economic actors of the geothermal energy. And we had a very interesting returns and discussion. A lot of all industrial partners, industrial actors in the geothermal market say that they are interested on our workflow and to use it in their exploration projects. So we start to create NRX at the end of the 2019 to provide exploration services in the different skills we developed on our workflow, namely structural geology, the laboratory measurements, and light geophysics with drones. We start to discuss with the first clients and begin to sell our services. But something happened that we didn't expect. On the demo side of the industrial partners of our research, there was some earthquakes linked to the exploitation of the geothermal resource. It was not very big earthquakes, between 2 and 4, but it stopped completely the project. So it stopped completely the project. Here there are just some newspapers to say that the media, the event were largely covered by the media. The population had to be very feared about the geothermal technology. They manifest against the project, and so everything has been stopped. Not only on the demo site of our industrial partner, but also all geothermal exploration in France. So as I say, everything has been stopped. The government and the geoscientists quakes on this project, and to make a reflection about new laws and policy in the mining codes, and also how the population can be better informed in order to accept the future projects. And all these procedures take a lot of time. It is not finished yet. And so basically there is no geothermal market anymore for the moment in France. So we developed in NRX our workflow. We had some interesting technologies and clients, but due to this failure, we had no market anymore. It forced us to completely review our business model. So to do that, we came back to our primary skills and to think about what was the strength of our workflow and how we can adapt it to other projects. And so we come back to our primary skills, which was we developed really the characterization of the outcome, and we don't look about how to use it to explore with fluid flows, but to look on the other projects where they can be interesting. So we think about our innovations and strengths, and which was mainly three things. The development of drones for a precise thing that is the magnetic acquisition that can interest also some mining projects which want to make a more precise acquisition than the classic regional scale magnetic acquisition that are done classically in these projects. We developed a tool, a calculation tool for the characterization of the natural fractures, the geological objects and can host with flow, but that is also interesting to characterize and to model in other projects, like in civil engineering, where there is question about stability of the rock mass. And also the set of laboratory measurements that can interest any project where we need to characterize the rocks. So this is just an example of the magnetic data and the archaeological project. We start to know that the magnetic data were not really used in this domain because there is no software and acquisition technology for this application. So we adapt our skills and we develop the integrated system on the sensors, the integrational carriers, and the software solution for this new domain that we developed. So here's just an example of an acquisition we make on an archaeological site in Eridu with our prototype on a backpack. The data acquisition result after the processing and the interpretation we made on this area. Human being city in the world, which is called Eridu. And as we can see, we have highlighted two different areas, rest of buildings and fireplaces, and another around with irrigation channels and old wells. And just for the story, the main part here has been excavated since the study, and what we expected has been confirmed. So now, after this reflection about the diversification and the experience we had on this industrial failure, 3 years after, we work in many projects, in some archaeological projects in France, Iraq, and also Saudi Arabia, with our magnetic acquisition data solution in drones. We also work for mining companies with the same solution and also with laboratory measurements in Turkey and Canada. We work also on oil and gas projects with the same technology. And finally, we also have some projects in civil engineering, like site construction supervision and landslide characterization. and also metallic pollution in Israel detection. And we are also involved in different R&D projects with different partners to grow up our innovations and also to make some trainings and education projects on our technologies. So finally, if I had to have a take-home message for the students, for entrepreneurs, who want to develop an innovation regarding this experience, I would say keep your eyes open to the external factors. The failure can not only be linked to internal issues, on technical problems or financial problems or something like that. It can also be completely external to your part of business and work. And also pay attention to the market maturity of your technology. Is the market stable? Because in my case, the mistake were that it was very few economic actors and a market which was very unstable, and that has been completely removed and by the government politics of and also the social acceptance problems. Yeah, and also to really think about the innovation in the market, not only about the technical issue. Thank you for your attention.
Lionel, for the technical presentation. And I would like to conclude with Ms. Liana Vrvaki. She's the founder and lead scientist, chemist in EURECA-Crete, and she will talk about successes walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. So let's welcome her with enthusiasm. Also.
This helps me to reduce stress. So hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be with you today. I would like to thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Iliana Vrvaki, and I have started my own company of cosmetic production called EURECA-Crete. And today I would like to share with you some of the failures that occurred in the path and how they could lead to a successful path. So it all started back at my school years. When I was a teenager, I suffered from severe acne. My face was covered under red spots, and the result was not pleasant at all. I felt very embarrassed. I had low self-esteem and lack of confidence. But at the same time, this grew sympathy to me for whoever was suffering from the same problem that I had. Then I had the idea. Because I live in Crete. Crete is an island that is in the Mediterranean, and has sunshine throughout the year. So many medicinal and therapeutical plants grow here. So I thought, why not utilizing those plants in order to create products beneficial for skin that would help people feel good for their skin? So I had the vision, but in order to turn it into unexpectedly. Oops. Of course, everything is accepted today. Really? Oh, great, thank you. So I had the vision, and in order to convert it into a mission, I needed first some education. So I studied chemistry at University of Crete, and this helped me a lot. Actually, here is a photo from my graduation, and it helped me a lot to gain valuable knowledge and also working experience in cosmetic company. And also I had the opportunity to be part of multiple research groups, and it's worth referring to the research group of Professor Salvador Carreño, from University of Valencia. I went to Spain with an Erasmus program through university. And there we were trying to make an analytical method in order to determine the preservatives in cosmetic products. So during my stay there, I remember leaving the lab every day disappointed because the research had no results. And I used to greet goodbye my professor Alberto, and he used to say, "How did it go?" And I would say, "No success, professor." So he would respond, "This is normal in research. Success is a slow progress." And it turned out that he was right, because only 2 weeks before I leave Spain, we actually had some results. And I noticed that in order to reach to a positive result, first I had to try 100 ways that it didn't work to find the one that works in the end. And then I did my master degrees in pharmacy department in cosmetic technology in pharmaceuticals. And here you see the first picture, a photo of my desk in the laboratory. So I remember one day we were sitting with my lab mate there discussing a problem that we were facing in the research. And we were so lost deep in conversation for this problem that we didn't notice our professor approaching. So he came close to us, he said the phrase, and then he went. And the phrase went a little bit like that: "Successful is the one who finds solutions." And I kept thinking of that. It was quite useful throughout the way because I kept on the effort, the try, the everyday try. And it turned out to be a success. And I was awarded for my research as the Young Researcher Award from the International Conference of Nanotechnology and Nanoscience regarding the research on nanoparticles containing essential oils for cutaneous applications. So at that point, I had everything I needed to start my company. I had the knowledge, I had the education, I was full of enthusiasm. I was ready to begin creating. But here comes the dark side of the story. There is always a dark side. So at that point, I need to find a place to build the laboratory, to have a laboratory. And we had to search for that place. It took a lot of time. I already finished my studies by the end of 2018, and we found the proper place by the end of 2019. Here you see a picture of my dad when we were constructing the interior of the place in order to make it appropriate for production of cosmetics. And well, the problem here is that I had to wait. And then when we finally got the place, we had a laboratory, we had to deal with the bureaucracy in Greece, which takes time. And actually, this was combined with the end of 2019 that you all remember was just when COVID-19 pandemic burst out in Europe. So most offices were closing. And I had to chase people to sign papers in order to take the license to begin. And this took even more time. Furthermore, I had to take a permission from the National Organization for Medicines in order to start producing cosmetics. And because we're on an island, the representative should come from Athens to inspect our laboratory and give the permission. And this took even more time. So I had a lot of waiting, but I used this waiting time to convert it into a productive time. So I tried to make, during this period of time, experiments in order to create the most effective formulas for my products. Here are some photos from my lab book, and it's interesting to notice the dates. It's my experiments for my face cream that you can see that the first ever experiment was conducted in July 2019, and the final formula that is now in the market was found almost a year later. And it's interesting to notice that from face cream number 1, I had the version number 4, and this was the 11th try of the version number 4, which means that for almost a year, I kept failing despite my education, despite the knowledge, I kept failing to find the formula that I wanted. Finally there. And then I had to face another problem in the way, the unwilling suppliers. Raw material suppliers, as well as packaging material suppliers, were not willing to provide a small company like mine. Furthermore, I had to deal with the discouragers. You know, in cosmetics, it's really important, the packaging of the cosmetic. The product should be nice, should be pleasant, should welcome people to use it. And I was trying to find by myself something pleasant for the design of the products. And because I use mainly glass as packaging materials, that is more eco-friendly, I needed also paper boxes to protect the glass not from breaking. So I talked with a representative from a company, from a big company that prints these boxes. And I showed him my ideas on the packaging materials and showed him my designs. I was very happy. And well, he grabbed my box, looked at me and said, "You will go nowhere with this." When I finally managed to launch my products and take them into market, I talked with a pharmacy here in Hania, and I would like to introduce my products to them. The owner of the pharmacy told me, "I'm gonna give you an advice. What you want is difficult. You'd better give up." So what did I do? Well, I didn't listen to Mr. A, and I made my own designs. Actually, all botanical illustrations decorating our boxes, I have made them by hand. And I believe that the result is quite pleasant. And as well, it gives a unique character to our products. Furthermore, combined with the excellence of our products, instead of going nowhere like Mr. A said, we're actually now here. We have shipped our products to more than 12 countries in Europe. And what about Mr. B, that he told me to give up? Well, so far, we already have hundreds of good reviews from people that show their skin being improved by the use of our products. Here I have some examples. For example, Ms. Wan is a lawyer from Iraklio. She works many hours in front of a computer, so she's exposed to the blue light of the screen, and she had dark circle problems. She wrote to me a review that she said that she was crying from happiness that she saw the dark circles being reduced because of the use of our cream. And here is Miss 2, that she was very enthusiastic about our products and how they change the texture of your skin. And she says, "My skin has never felt like this before." Also, Miss 3, she is super happy because she saw the acne on the face of her teenage son being reduced by the use of our products. So what if I had given up? Miss 1 would still suffer from her dark circles. If I had given up that childhood dream, Miss 2 would not feel good about her skin right now. If I had given up, this teenager would still suffer from acne, would still have the same problems as I had with low self-confidence and low self-esteem. And so I'm glad that I didn't. To sum up, yes, there were difficulties on the way. I had to face bureaucracy. I had the failure to find suppliers. I also had to face the discouragers. But what if I had lost my energy, my motivation, my enthusiasm? When you love what you do, you're extra motivated to meet your goals. And when you succeed to meet those goals, the sense of accomplishment is outstanding. You will carry and radiate that success wherever you go, helping yourself in many aspects of your life, but also helping others people improve the quality of their life. So when you're chasing your dreams, you should not be afraid of failure. You should keep that enthusiasm on, because success is not about being afraid of failure. Success is about working from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Thank you.
Thank you, Ileana. I see there are no misters, only misses in the reviews so far. Okay. At this point, I'll be happy to share with you that if you need any other place to host your laboratory, the Technical University of Crete is open to such attempts. Yeah, and we are trying actually through innovation to businesses in our premises. We are in a starting point of that at this time, but everybody's welcome. I would like to pose a question to you before we end this panel. So what is the difference between academic professors and professors that and academics that have to do with innovation? Because most of the people here either have PhDs or master students. So the difference is that academics from academia that have nothing to do with innovation don't ever keep their time. So these people here that know about innovation, know about giving their product to the market, know about timekeeping, and I'm happy to say that it's one of the few times in my life that we are on schedule. We are like a few minutes before schedule. So we'll have now a coffee break until 11:45, when everybody from here or from Zoom will have the chance to ask our speakers any question they would like to discuss about failure. So see you in 5 minutes. As we resume in the discussion of the first panel, we're now open to questions from the audience here and the audience through the teleconference. So our speakers, Ernesto, Konstantinos, Lionel, and Ileana, will be accepting any questions that you have, either personally or in general, so they can all take their position and thoughts on a single idea or a single question. So we have already some questions through the chat. Of course, the people through Zoom can raise their hand anytime, and they can pose the question if they want, or by keeping it on the chat session. So we will invite right now some questions from the audience here. So we'll start from the audience here. Thank you. Before you ask the question, yeah, please, everybody says your name and.
Okay, I can't stay anonymous. That's a shame. My name is Ries Bouwman. I will talk this afternoon as well, so you will see who I am right now. You just have to do my voice. If okay, I have 4 questions. Is that okay? Yeah, one for each of them.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Ernesto, I'd like to start with you. I really like the statement that you made between the 7th and the 8th of June, which is going to happen tomorrow. That depending on what day you look at your company or what it is that you're doing, people might say that it's a failure or it's a success. And you mentioned that a very interesting point that I experienced myself as well in the past, that being reliant on one client for too much in your company is actually a risk. Is it possible for you to share some more details on that? What happened between those days, or at least what happened, how big that one customer was and what he or she was doing to make your life difficult?
Yes, for example, with the ice cream. So I sell the ice cream to the company, the company that the supermarket company. So for example, if you sell to that guy or you close the factory. So for example, I go to negotiate the increase of the new price. So, I'm gonna increase 5% and say, no, wait, why? So I am just acting because I'm gonna say whatever he said. If he accept, if he don't accept, if he wants to lower the price, I will say yes, but because you are not able to do anything. Dance, you will dance. Sit down, shut up. So that is the
Yes,
real.
that's a particular problem in food retail as well, right? Because these retailers are very strong. You're very small and they're huge,
Yes.
right? You have no chance.
Yeah, yes. So you don't have a chance to move to one side or another.
That happens. Okay.
Thank you.
Question to the next person. I don't know your name because it's not on the card. Just joking. You mentioned something about having to wait and that was your failure. I disagree. I think if there's so many circumstances around that you cannot change and you have to wait, then it's not a failure because you survived that time. Okay, you got through it. I asked you outside this question, but I didn't listen to the answer. And men do that. We ask questions, but we don't listen to the answer. So maybe you can say that again. You said a lot about building up your motivation. How do you do that? Because the situation you described can be extremely demotivating. And maybe you have some hints for the people here how to motivate yourself.
Thank you for your question. Actually, I always knew that this is what I would like to do for a job, like to wake up every morning and be motivated to start working, if you can call it work, to start creating, to start providing the society with something useful. So I knew that I wanted to do exactly this. I wanted to create natural cosmetics from natural ingredients, from herbs and plants and natural oils. So I couldn't accept failure as a choice. I knew that, okay, it's hard now. And what can we do? Will I just let everything and start something else? No, this is what I want to do and this is what I will do. So I didn't accept any other choice rather than that. I suffered a little bit and I faced some difficult times, but we move on. And I'm sure that more difficult times are coming. As you grow, the problems grow. So I expect more, more problems in the future. Thank you.
Very good. They will come.
Yes, I'm waiting.
Yeah, a question to you on you had a really tough time there. I mean, we talked about this outside as well, but I mean, having your whole business case being destroyed overnight because a natural thing happened is tough. How long did it take you to get to your new business model? Was it like weeks or months, or how much time did you need to get back on your feet?
Okay, thank you for your question. There are 2 things. One, before I created the company, I worked with some incubator of startups, and this kind of teams, and they said me, pay attention, you have one client, the market is new, yes, pay attention. So I begin to the reflection at the beginning of the company. But yeah, I didn't expect that I have to react fast, linked to this industrial problem. The other thing is that was also the COVID, and all administrative and things were very long in 2020. So I had time to think about how I will go with the company. And so I think in few months I begin to the reflection on how I can find new clients and even new domains if problems occurred.
Good for you. Congratulations. A last question for you. I saw on your last slide the term calculated risk. It's something I know from my MBA studies and larger corporations, etc. But in my experience, when you have a small company with 1 or 2 or 3 people, you have some money, and at some point, especially if you produce products, not just software or an app, but you actually have to buy some stuff. I think that's a very critical point in time for a startup, because you put everything in there, right? You take all the money and you buy your products, and then you hope that somebody's going to buy it 2 or 3 months later. That's a very critical point in time. Would you call that a calculated risk? Because for my feeling, and I did this in the past, it was all in. It's just all in.
Great question. Actually, let's start that, especially when we discuss about a new company, a startup, what you should try to do is to find your market. Don't know which one is your market. So what we call calculated risk is to find a way in order to confirm where you should focus on. And after that, you can go and buy stuff for these people, for these customers. So what is important to do, and this is actually one of the major approaches that is used in entrepreneurship and innovation in startup, is to make iterations and fail fast, fail cheap. So find the proper way to do business with the less money that you can, or the less effort. It's not so hard now, because a lot of times you have to create just a landing page or something like an MVP, a prototype of your product or your service, and you can bring this online and find if there is any interest about that. So you can have some, let's say, some metrics, some data that can provide you more insights about what you should follow, right, as your next step. So you don't have to go and buy a lot of stuff as an inventory for the company, but you should try to find and have some samples, for example, for the beginning. And after that, you see what's your market, you can go on and buy more. And there are a lot of other ways, like new business models that you can use in order not to have an inventory, like drop shipping, for example, in order to be more innovative and have the chance to succeed in the long run. So less costs and higher income. So more profitable way to do business.
Could have had that advice 2 years ago, but I'll talk about that in an hour. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience? It's not a question, it's a request, so please. The students up there. Everybody, Eleni?
Question to most of you, at least for Iliana and Lionel, and of course for all four of you. I'm actually aiming at the aforementioned too, simply because you started out your company right before the major issue of the pandemic, and starting out something new and having all the enthusiasm and putting all the money and all the time and everything, the knowledge, then you come to an end or a stop that you never foresee, you have no control of, and it's really a hard stop for quite some time because you have no control over it, you or anybody else. What would be your advice to young innovators and entrepreneurs when they're reaching these really hard stops, especially at their beginning? Some practical aspects and some methodological aspects and some characteristics of the personality that would help them. Thank you.
Yeah, let's go from Ernesto to go. No? Anybody? Oh, Eliana, okay.
You hear me? Nice. So I would advise young people when they start something new, a new project, that they should definitely not quit before 3 years of operation. The first years are crucial, and it's good to keep it low, make small steps at a time, and try, even if a failure occurs, to use this failure to move on. We usually start and dreaming of something big and expect that the next day it will be big and strong and provide us everything we want. But it's not like that. We build something little every day. So we should not lose our confidence and keep on working. This is my advice. I don't know if Ernesto would like.
Yeah, for me, even advice is hard because, for example, I've been entrepreneur all my life. The first time in my life, and I am old, was 4 years ago. I get my first paycheck in my life from the University of Leon. So, but even I've been entrepreneur. If somebody, not going far, for I have 2 sons. If one son come, Father, what do you think? I ask, do you think that I should accept this job from this company or go for my own business? Don't be stupid. Go for this business. No, go for this job. So the easy to be entrepreneur is not the easiest, it's not the best, it's not. But if you have the feeling to go there, you should go there. But it's not a thing that you could advise. It's what I think. For example, if you love your son, saying, no, go for entrepreneur. As a father, it's a bad idea. But if he feels to go there, he should go there.
Okay. For me, I had to say that the COVID crisis was difficult because it was just like 1 month after the creation of the company. But the fact that it was very early was also a little a chance because if I compare to other companies I discussed in my ecosystem, I had the chance to have no employees and no salary to pay during all the months where there was literally nothing. And I use the time during the crisis to make a lot of administrative stuff, even if all has take a long time. I had make some say request on money on subventions, also on agreements for some technical aspects. I also use the time to do the scientific work I may work alone in my office. And so, yeah, my advice this kind of quizzes is that focus on the things you can do alone, the internet site, everything that it's not really the company activity, but yeah, so the things you have to do anyway.
For me, any crisis brings new opportunities. And in our case, in our organization, we've seen that during crisis. We launch new programs. We apply for new funding, let's say, new funding opportunities. And we've seen new ways of doing business. And from the side of our beneficiaries, because we support young entrepreneurs, we've seen that the major characteristics that works for us as well, but also for them, was adaptability. How they can change their ways of doing things in their business, in their life. And I think that this is one of the major characteristics that an entrepreneur should have in order to achieve, because everything is changing so rapidly. Customer needs, we've seen that we can say before COVID and after COVID, everything has changed and is changing all the time. And due to that, you have to find ways in order to exploit new technologies and opportunities that are coming from this in order to create new products and have an innovative business.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? I can give you some more time to think. I have a question for you before we go to the Zoom participants. First of all, I had a meeting 3 days ago with MIT Technology License Office, and they were actually telling me the percentages of failures towards the grants that they have. And it was surprising to see that even in MIT, most of the ideas, most of innovation fails, but still this is an organization that actually can't hold up to failure because they have a huge budget. And usually we ask for people to talk, and we are inspired by people that they have earned, didn't stop them to go further. But if we see it statistically, 9 out of 10 fail and fail hard, and there is economic impact on their lives. There is economic impact in their families, but we actually see everything from beyond, and we always choose the ones that actually make it. How do you see in a holistic economic measurement, what would you tell to the people that fail? How do they impact? How is the impact in terms of their lives that they cannot economically stand up again easily? And what would be your thoughts on that? I mean, if you see the holistic statistics of failures in terms of the economy of Europe or your country or your organizations.
I think everybody's gonna fail. For example, now Netflix is gonna fail. Soon, I don't know, this year, next year, or in 10 years. example, in my timeline, I had failed, but I have succeeded. So if you think what in my is, for example, okay, succeed means I get money, lost money. So at the end, okay, I had money for example, for me, for myself, it said that I had a very big business in ice cream, and 20 years ago, and now I am doing videography. What is that, fail or succeed? For me, it's a very successful career to be doing videos in some sunset here in the Chania. It's very nice. So the term failure, success, and everybody talks about it, but everybody's gonna fail. Once, I'm sorry about that. Once I went to Las Vegas in the taxi, and the taxi was like, oh, everybody lose money. And I said to the taxi driver, no, I know a guy who won money in Las Vegas. Oh, is he dead? If I lose money. So sorry about the joke.
One person that wins the money, the one that owns the casino. What I would like to say on that is that it's good when you start a business to keep the budget low, like not take the most expensive equipment right from the beginning, try to find a bit cheaper solutions, but effective without making something wrong to the product, and try not to waste money in things that are not important. It's very serious to check on your client, on the person that will accept the product, what they think is important, and give money on that aspect and not around, because usually we have an idea in our head and we think that okay, we cannot start if we don't have this, and usually this is not important. So it's better to be sure that the client really needs it and put the money there, and start from low, not big steps, one step at a time. This would be my advice.
I don't know if it really answer of the question, but it remembers me a course I had in the entrepreneurship teams which I worked on. One of my first course about how to make a business model and how to create the company. The speakers say the first thing he said is, okay, here in the area, you will be 9 which will fail and 1 that will be a success, and that the company will continue to the development. And you all have one default. It's your first company. So he would say that it's always an experience. Even if you fail hard, you have to close the company. It's a life experience. Even if you don't create a new company, you make another thing. You also have learned something.
I will start saying that entrepreneurship, it's not like cooking, that you have a recipe, you put the ingredients, and you have something unique. It's something that you have to go in the field to see what's going on. So if I can share something about that, is, as it was said already, to know what risk you can handle if it's gone wrong. So I will come back to calculated risks. And in this way, there are a lot of ways in order to find the best way to do your first steps, the small steps. There are a lot of supporting organizations that you can visit that they provide a safe environment for the beginning as an idea, with mentoring, with knowledge sharing, with tools that you can use, because these tools, if you use them properly, you can find ways to collect data for your case, and to be more sure about your first steps, because the first steps are the most important steps in entrepreneurship. After that, you have to have a plan. Of course, it will not go as you have in your mind, but you have to follow a plan. If you don't have a plan and you go with the instinct, probably you will face very soon huge problems. But what is important, because we have seen a lot of people spend a lot of money in the beginning and lose everything, find ways in order to do your first steps in a safe environment. When I say safe, I mean not with a huge risk, okay? Because risk, it's always next to entrepreneurship.
Thank you. Now we're gonna go to the Zoom questions. And question number 1. According to my understanding, failures do not occur overnight. It takes a series of wrong decisions or inability to see our faults in management of our company or startup. I would like to ask all the panelists, in their experience, what is the quickest way to spot shortcomings in a startup, or how did they do it? Failures do not occur overnight. It takes a series of wrong decisions or inability to see our faults in management. And they would like to ask, what is the quickest way to spot shortcomings in a startup, or how do you do it?
For example, I don't think it's most of the time wrong decision. For example, some failure could be pandemic. Good decision was that. So I think you could be prepared for some, in the future, some company, okay, I earn a hotel, so I need to be prepared for the next pandemic, but could be a tsunami or whatever. So I think it's a lot of, because of a lot of things. So we have to be prepared, but it's gonna be after the picture. Be prepared to fix the failure. Maybe, okay, I did wrong thing, I'm gonna fix it. It's because the pandemic, okay, I'm gonna try, if I am able to recover, or I have to switch my business or something.
I totally agree. Well said. And what I would ask is that it's not always easy to spot it before it happens. So it's not always easy to avoid the failure. So we are going to fail one way or the other. What Ernesto said is correct, that we should be ready to fail and find a solution to solve the problem. I would also, yes, agree with that.
So I agree. What I can add to this discussion is, for me at least, the main thing when I created the company is I was a scientist, and I had no idea of what is a business, what is a business model, and all these stuffs. And so I would like to say there are a lot of structures in the universities, in the cities, in Europe at all to help us. And yeah, I take many of this advice on these teams. learn how to make a business model with experts. I learned how to sell an innovation, not only because really, as I said, I was a scientist. I don't even know how we make practically this kind of things. And so, yeah, you can learn these things with good experts. You just have to find them.
Just to add that you should be prepared for solving problems every day, and don't let them go in the side, because if you let them there, probably will be bigger and bigger, and you cannot handle after that. So as I said before, another characteristics that I feel that an entrepreneur should have is to be problem solver all the time for all the problems that came. That's the only thing that I want to say.
Thank you. We continue with Zoom questions. So this question was from Yas Paranjape, and we'll come back to his questions, to their questions, and we will proceed with Anthony Dia. So while building your startup, do you have to start small and then scale up using system of inspection, transparency, and adaptation? Or do we need to focus on what the customer wants first? So again, when you build your startup, do you have to start small and then scale up using inspection, transparency, and adaptation? Or do you focus on what the customer wants first? I don't see them contradicting anyway, but
I don't know. It's like to do a business plan depending on what you're gonna do, or sometimes you're gonna do because you just love ice cream, or sometimes you're gonna do that because you have that money, or I don't know. It's maybe some of you that you are still working your startup, how you deal.
I can say that both proposed can occur in the same time. So you can have this structure of adaptation and transparency, and also focus on your client. In the beginning, you will have an idea, you will build on that business plan. But it's important to put the client early in that. Don't waste much time and much sources to create the plan, to make the strategy, and lose time, because at the point you think that okay, I'm going to optimize it more, I'm going to get it better because before I give it to the client, and then you lose your aim. Maybe the client doesn't want what you give to him. It's very important to make sure early that what you're working on is what the client wants. So you can use both of the phrases used here in the same time. That's what I would think.
Yeah, I agree. You can develop the best services or the best thing for the clients. If the clients don't want to pay much, or don't want the best thing, but he just want some cheap thing, you will be wrong. And another thing I add is it's also depend on your personality. For example, me, I knew that I don't want to go on very risky investment to look about investors to take millions. My personality was more that okay, you go step by step. You found little clients on your own. You make our first employees, and then you grow and grow slowly, but with more security. So yeah, it also depends on your personality.
Let's say here that for me, what is important is to validate your market. So it's important to know what you have, how you can satisfy your customers. But before that, you have to know what are your customers. I know that seems easy. It's not. Many times we start and we say, okay, these are our customers, but in the field, you see that it's not, they're not. So it's important to find ways to go deep to their problems, understand them, and find your scope as company, because companies are organizations with a scope to satisfy needs, customer needs. So if they don't do this, they will face a huge door in front of them that is hard to deal with, because they will probably spend money for that. So it's important to find their market and be sure that this is the market that you should focus on. So this is the first step. And after that, of course, you can build your next steps and build new products, and not starting and have to bring all together, because many times this is impossible for many reasons. So first steps to focus on your customer, and this and the best way to do that is to find ways, tools actually to do that, like market research or competitor analysis, to feel that you are strong enough in your field before going out and try to scale up.
I have a question, I think, maybe Konstantinos, you can answer that. But for example, Steve Jobs built or create the iPhone without knowing anything about the customer, because the customer doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, this is another case. Many times many companies start and say, okay, they don't want this, but I will create this need. It's not so easy. Okay, there are not a lot of companies that have achieved this, like Apple, for example. So here is what we've seen, for example, from the history of businesses. Especially the smartphones, that they have the touchscreen, for example, was unexpected for many people to have this. But the basic need of mobile phones take calls, right? So every time a new technology is coming, brings something new, a breakthrough. So what will follow? We don't know what to expect. That's why we have to follow also the trends, the technology trends, in order to exploit them for our purpose, for our business as well. But because many times we've seen companies that believe that I will create this need. It's a huge cost to educate people and to make them believe that they want this. And probably you will find some first followers, but it's not that you have validate your market. Some innovators that they will adopt it for tasting, not because they need that. But in the long term, you will see if it will go well. That's why. But touchscreens, for example, it's a great example of this. Or Facebook, for example, we didn't know that we want social network, right?
Actually, there's a terminology when you create problems in order to solve them. It's called politics. So okay, we have a question from the Zoom audience, and Yash has asked several questions, but they asked to be making the question personally. So Yash, you can go ahead and pose your questions, and whatever you've written or whatever you want.
Am I audible? Yes, okay. So very good afternoon to all the panelists, and thank you all for your presentations. They were really, really helpful. So my second question is that considering that we have raised some funding for our startup or our company, how do we distribute or manage the cash flow into various departments? I mean, I've read many articles that because of this mismanagement of cash flow, many companies try to do that at the last moment and failed. So like a rough estimate maybe of how you did it in your companies, of like the percentages of cash flow for each department, such as for R&D, for sales, for design maybe. So I don't know what very many of the departments are, but you have better knowledge about it. So could you just in short tell me a rough estimate about it? So thank you.
Hello, yes. Thank you for, great, thank you. Yeah, thank you for your questions. They're very interesting. So from my point of view, I will talk about my business, that it does have several departments like production, social media managing, and research and development, raw materials and packaging materials to make the orders. There are different departments, but for the moment I am by myself, so I am the lead in each department. So I haven't said clearly which cash flow goes to each department. But it's like more a general source of incoming that is equally distributed in each aspect. And yes, I would say equal distribution at the moment, because it's me at all the places, so I haven't really checked. That is my answer. I don't know if somebody wants to add something more useful.
A lot of things. First of all, it has to do with what type of business you are. If you're a startup, the only thing that you should focus on is your growth. To find more people to validate that you have market, okay? Especially if you are in the beginning of your startup journey. If you're a traditional business, you have to see what is the way of making more money in the short term, the short run. So probably a sales person, or how you can transfer your goods in an efficient way. It depends on the industry that you are, or your product. I can say other things about non-for-profit, but I don't know if it's the proper time to do that. But generally, it's important to find ways in order to have money for your obligation as a company, because this is the first, the top reason of startup failures. So you have to have an Excel and to monitor and track all the costs that you have and how the cash flow can be positive, in order not to have problem, not just in short term, but in 2 or 3 months, because it's not just for today, it's for at least 3 months, for example. So it's important to keep an eye on that, and to be sure that you can follow up if it's needed for more funding, or to bootstrap your company, for example, with money that can come from your sales of your products. Generally, for me, the most important cost for a company is the human capital. So don't underestimate your people. Try to make them happy, because if they are, they will bring more profit to your company.
Thank you. Actually, we're a little bit off time, but Yash, go ahead and make your last question, but I will ask the panelists to give a shorter answer, and we'll finalize this session. We can get another question from the audience if they want to. So Yash, the floor is yours.
Yes, so before I ask my question, I would just mention what I did not mention previously. So I'm a master student at TU Freiburg in Germany. So yeah, so my third question would be that, in your experience, did you plan an exit strategy, so to say? So in case things didn't go according to plan for your company, did you plan an exit strategy? And if so, like, how do you do that? I mean, what are some of the strategies? As Mr. Ernesto said, that he sold the company. So, I mean, I don't know if that can be classified as an exit strategy, but for a third person, as myself, I would call it as an exit strategy, right? So, could you maybe give some more details on that, if at all? Thank you.
I think for me, and I think everybody should have a plan B, C, D, E, F, whatever. And you're gonna change the next day the other plan, and then, like, if you don't have any plan, run, like I did. So I think there is no manual or tutorial. So, but yes, you think, for me, the answer would be, yeah, you have to plan, you have to have a plan B, C, D, E.
I totally agree. In my case, I hadn't planned or haven't planned yet a plan B because I couldn't accept failure as a choice. I knew that this is what I would like to dedicate myself on, so I would try the best. So this was the meaning for me. But it's good always to have a plan B because not always things go as you planned. So it's good to have some alternatives. And if a failure occurs, it's not the end of the world. You take it, you use it, and you move on.
Okay. For me, I think I failed on that because for the moment I have no plan B. Even going the salary of a geological survey, another company, but yeah, for the moment I am really focused on my company, and yeah, don't have a plan B. Sadly.
I think that generally entrepreneurs don't have plans for other activities except from their company. And this is something that also investors want to see. If they see that, okay, you have something else as a side project, you will say, okay, why he's not 100% here or more than 100% here? What I would like to add here is, okay, you can have some plans in your mind, but okay, it's 100% sure that after the journey, independent of the result, it will bring you more skills and knowledge about your next step. And many times when you go to investors, when you say that this is my third or fourth company, you will have more possibilities of getting money because they know that you are more prepared for your next step.
Okay, that concludes the questions from the teleconference audience. We can have just one short question from here, from the amphitheater, and if not, we're going to conclude the discussion. Yes, Virginia.
I will say, of course, my question is whether in the beginning of your quest for information input before opening your startups, or let's say in your startups, when you did your research on input, did you face with the willingness of other entrepreneurs or other business factors to provide you with some input and info? Did it prevail more the willingness to cooperate and give feedback, or the willingness to view you as competitors, potential future competitors, before even you entering the market?
Thank you for the interesting question. It is very important to do a little bit of research before you start. And what helped me personally very much is the experience in a cosmetic company. I went to work in a company while I was still at uni. And it helped me very much that I went through all the departments. I had some experience working in each department separately. It is a very, very good cosmetic company in Greece, one of the best. And people there were so helpful, and they enabled me, they gave me this chance to see the inner structure of the company, even though they knew I had told them that this is my dream to start my own company, and they didn't face it like something bad. They hugged the whole process, the whole try. So it's good to take information from all aspects, and you can use this to build a strong base, and then you can start building.
For my experience, with the start of the scientific result I had, I go in an incubator of the Leuven University, where they are experts of everything about the business, the problems they will arrive, and yeah, it was like a school to go from the scientific part to the business part.
You don't have to say. I'm sure you can.
I can share a lot of things. I think it depends on the person. If she will share experience or insights from the business. Generally, what we've seen, especially in Greece, it's not something common to share what's going on in the industry, and this make very hard for young new businesses to find insights about an industry. So if we want to say that we want to build an open innovation ecosystem where we want to create innovations for the social welfare, we should focus on how we can collaborate between us companies and how we can build on common ideas and how we will deal with problems, how we can move the industry. An example that I can share from our side is, for example, we have a discussion with a multinational company, beer company, and said, I want to see small breweries in Crete get more customers, because if they bring more people to the beer industry, I will have more profits. This is the way of thinking, how we can bring more value to the industry that we are. I think it's culture issue.
So our panel is concluded. We have another question from the Zoom audience, but we'll pass it for now because we are 10 minutes, 15 minutes off schedule. So I would like to thank Ernesto, Ileana, Lionel, and Konstantinos for the fruitful discussion we have and the great presentations. I would like to thank all of you for your patience and your being here with us. And we'll have a lunch break now, and we'll come back for panel number 2 at 2 o'clock. So we'll see you in a bit. Thank you, everybody.